All right, all right. What is going on, everybody? I am real quickly going to share this out. I know that this was kind of spontaneous and last second, so I'll let everybody tune in before starting. Let's see. What's going on, everybody? Welcome. Let's see. All right, we're going to kick things off here in a second. Wasn't able to make Gary's, wasn't able to make the BK Nothing But Nets podcast today. Got a little busy. So I wanted to come on here separately, give you guys some thoughts on some things that I am noticing throughout March Madness and throughout these final 11 games of the season. So we're going to start off first with let's kind of do a little recap. I'm going to save the mock draft for after. Let's go ahead and discuss the final 11 games of the Brooklyn Nets season, because this is a very important stretch for Nets fans and the Nets as an organization. We play 4 or 5 teams that are kind of must-lose games. This is all going to come down to the lottery, but that doesn't mean that you can't improve your odds or stay at the odds that you're currently battling with other teams for. So I'm pulling up the schedule here real quickly. Give me 1 second. And for those of you who are watching on YouTube, feel free to drop a subscription here below, leave a like, comment your thoughts, and if you're watching on Twitter, make sure to follow us over there as well. All right, let me scroll down to these final 11 games. We'll break these down real quick. We actually just got an update on Anthony Davis as well, so we'll go into that. All right, let's see. We will share this. All right, so hopefully it's loading on your guys' end. I have it on mine, and it should be good. Yep, slowly but surely. All right, so as you can see here, Brooklyn's final 11 games of the season consist of the Dallas Mavericks twice, the Toronto Raptors twice, the Clippers, the Washington Wizards, the Minnesota Timberwolves, New Orleans Pelicans, Atlanta Hawks. We actually have Minnesota twice. And then we also have the New York Knicks for the final game of the season, which you'd have to think they're resting their starters. So there's a possibility here where Brooklyn could win 5 more games. You would have to think Toronto's going to try and purposely lose against us. So I'm assuming we're splitting with them. They are 1 full game behind us right now for the 5th overall pick. Philly continues to be tied with us with the upper edge on the pick. They have like a very, very slight percentage increase because they lost a certain amount of games to us. I forgot what exactly it was this season, but I believe the Nets have actually beaten them more than they've beaten us this year. So Philly considerably has the 5th overall pick. The Nets have the 6th. Toronto at 7, and Toronto is currently a game behind for the 5th pick. So I can see us splitting there. Let's see. Just checking the standings quickly. We're currently 23 and 48. So we played Dallas twice. Anthony Davis, we play them tomorrow, actually. Anthony Davis is doubtful, so he is unlikely to play. I could see Brooklyn winning that with ease, which is extremely unfortunate because that's going to push us again towards 7. You have Toronto in Brooklyn. Both games against Toronto are actually in Brooklyn, so I don't like that. Usually they play much better at home. So Dallas I can see as a win for the first game. Toronto, I'm going to say lose because I think Brooklyn will sit players for that game, which will put us at 24 and 49. We play the Clippers. That should be a loss. That's 24 and 50. Washington, it's in Washington. I'm going to say they beat us. They've had our number recently, but they're also starting to sit players. So, again, that's a 50-50 game. It is on a back-to-back against the Clippers, so there will be an excuse for the Nets to sit players. So, yeah, I'm going to give it to Washington. So far we have, let's see, 1 and 4. 1, 2, 3. 1 and 3 for the first 4 games of the stretch. We play again against Dallas on March 31st. I would assume Anthony Davis is back for that. I'm going to call that a loss, so 1 and 5. Minnesota 1-6. Like I said, we split with Toronto, so 2-6. New Orleans, they're probably going to sit Zion. That's 3-6. Atlanta, they're fighting for play-in spots. I'm going to say 3-7. Minnesota 3-8. And I'm going to have us beating the Knicks in the final game of the season because they're going to rest starters. So that's going to be 4 and what is that? 4? Was it 4-8? There's only 11 games. Where did I go wrong here? Loss. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 losses. So potentially 7. Yeah, I could see us probably finishing with 27 wins, which not great. I mean, if you look at the rest of the standings, like I said, Philly is right there with us. We're actually a half game advantage over them currently, but they also play today, so they'll be right back and tied with us. New Orleans just lost. They're down 5 with 4.5 minutes left, but they will lose. Utah's down almost 30 to Cleveland right now. Toronto plays the Spurs. I'm hoping the Spurs figure that one out, but again, I highly doubt it. The Hornets play the Heat. That could potentially be something interesting. Tyler Hero's out. Bam's playing. I'm not sure about what's going on with LaMelo. It looks like he's playing. Yeah, he's playing. Their usual injury report is there. Oh, did Tyler Hero get upgraded, actually? Yeah, he did. He's playing. So Charlotte will probably lose that. Philly plays Atlanta, hoping for Quentin Grimes masterclass because we kind of just need at some point for Philly to win. But again, when Philly wins, Brooklyn wins, so it kind of defeats the purpose as to what we're trying to do. But yeah, that's kind of my thoughts. I could see Brooklyn finishing with 27 wins. It's going to be very depressing to see some of those wins simply because at this point in the season, D'Angelo Russell and Cam Johnson should be shut down. There's no reason moving forward why they play. You're not fighting for a play-in spot anymore. I believe we're, 5.5 games behind Chicago for the final play-in spot? Oh, it's Miami, actually. And yeah, we're about 6.5 games back. There's no reason why you should be playing guys at this point in the season, especially when you're looking at the standings itself. As a whole, Brooklyn is 4 games behind New Orleans. It's going to be 4.5 after today. You play New Orleans. Maybe Zion picks up 2 or 3 wins. That's something that if you were to just lose out, you could potentially be in position to try and get that 4th overall slot. But as of right now, it looks like Brooklyn's going to be battling for 5 through 7, which could play in their favor. It could very well backfire and drop 3-4 picks like we've seen in the past. I believe if you have the 5th pick, you have a 44% chance, anywhere between 42 and 44% chance of landing a 1 through 4 pick. The pick at 5, the percentage-wise for you to stay at 5 is only 2.2%. And then a pick between 6 through 9 is about 53.5 to 55.5%, I believe. So you have more than likely a chance to fall outside of the top 5 with the 5th overall pick odds than you do of staying 1 through 5. That's a problem to me. But we're gonna test it out actually real quick. So let's get into our mock draft, right? I'm going to kind of give a quick breakdown of my big board. Once again, I'm going to use the Fanspo one. There's going to be players missing, but we're specifically focusing on the Nets today. So some of the players that I have later on don't even correspond with what I personally think the Nets should do. So let's do this. We're going to pop this up right now, and we're going to start the mock drafts. So I'm going to try and do 3 mock drafts for the Nets. I'm going to try and get them at certain picks. So I'm going to try and do pick 2, pick 4, and then pick 7. I think those are the 3 options I want to try and show you guys where our best scenarios could come from. So I'm going to try and get that done real quick. So let's see. We're going to share it here. All right. All right. So let's do a couple of sims. I'm going to try and make it as quick as possible so this way we can get into the best scenarios possible. All right. Let's see. All right, so this one lands us at 7. Perfect. So we're going to go with this one. We're going to specifically just pick for the Nets. We're going to do the full 2 rounds. There are going to be trade-ups. We may not even actually have a second-round pick. We'll see. But with the 7th overall pick, I'm going to use my big board because I've been updating it left and right. But for me, if Brooklyn fails to land top 5 and ends up falling to 7, there's multiple avenues that the team could take. One being trading up, another being potentially sticking and picking. There's different things that you can do here. I mean, Malawak was a guy I was looking at 7, so for him to go 4 kind of hurts. I don't think they would have taken Fears, so this is now kind of going all wrong. Oh Jesus! All right, we gotta restart this, don't we? I'm gonna make the picks, I guess, because Dylan Harper at 7 makes no sense. You guys can see here I have him on my big board at 2. So the simulation decides to mess with us real quick. Let me cancel this and start over. I'm gonna just do the first 10 picks because there's no reason why they aren't formatted a certain way. Yeah, that's so funny. All right, so Washington at 1, of course, flag. Who landed 2 in this one? The Jazz. All right, so they go Harper. We just got an update as well. D'Angelo Russell and Zaire Williams are listed questionable entering tomorrow's game against Dallas. All right. San Antonio's at 3 in this one. My goodness. Yeah, they got to go Ace. And then we'll go VJ at 4. So VJ falls to 4. All right, who's at 5 here? Charlotte, this is where I could see Kasparos going. That makes sense. Potential LaMelo replacement, but can also play the 2 guard. New Orleans is at 6. That's where I see Malawak. It's either Malawak or Trey Johnson. In this case, I'm going Malawak. So the Nets here at 7. Again, this is kind of how I see the board falling to begin with. But again, you could interchange Malawak with Johnson. I personally don't think Trey Johnson's a top 7 pick. As a Nets fan, we kind of have seen what being one of the best scorers in basketball can do for you. It's really not much. There's a lot of intangibles to his game that need improvement, specifically on the defensive end as a playmaker, as a rebounder. The good thing is he is slightly better in those departments than Cam Thomas was coming out of college, and he's also 6'6". So there's a little bit more potential with him there. But I do think that it is ultimately going to drop him a certain amount. Now, if Toronto falls to pick number 8, I could definitely see him going 8. It just depends on who the team is at 8. And in this case, it's Oklahoma City, which I think there's no other pick for them that makes more sense than either Kaman Malawak or Con Kneppel. I think those are the 2 picks for them without a doubt, if they find a way to land 7 through 9. So with the 7th overall pick, I'm going to have Brooklyn select Jeremiah Fears, the 6'4" point guard out of Oklahoma, who has risen up draft boards left and right. I've been on him now for over a month. I've been doing these drafts and big boards for well over 5 months. Big boards more recently. Mock drafts, though, I've been on for since we got our pick back pretty much. So for me personally, I think Fears is a guy who's solidified himself as a top 8 prospect. There's just no reason as to why he shouldn't be. The skill set is there. He is the 2nd or 3rd youngest player in this draft class, which just equals more upside as a talent. And he also led the Sooners to March Madness. Like, there was nobody on that team outside of him who was consistent, had the flashiness to his game, that had the clutchness to his game. Fears by far carried, kind of similar to how Trae Young carried Oklahoma his freshman year. How I see him personally, and the reason why I kind of feel he could be a really good fit here is he's not lazy defensively, right? He's 6'4". He doesn't really have the frame to be a great defender, but he is at least a guy who puts in the effort. And not to mention, I feel like he has a kind of mixture between Trae Young and Ja Morant. And the reason I say that is because he's not as flashy and he's not as athletic as Ja, but he's also not as great of a playmaker as Trae. Right? He's got very solid playmaking that has a ton of upside. He's a great scorer like both. He's a very solid rebounder like Ja. The efficiencies needs a bit of work at 43.4, but there's always room for improvement there. And scoring is also much easier in the NBA. So to me, I kind of see like a combo mix between Trae Young and Ja Morant. Still, ton of upside. I mean, he could become very similar to one or the other, if not both. So to me, at pick number 7, this is great value. You get your star point guard of the future to put alongside Cam Thomas for now, because you don't know if Thomas will stay or not. With the 8th pick, yeah, we'll go Con Kneppel here. I'm going to do the first 10, and then I'm going to let it sim, because usually that works out a bit better. Maybe I should have gone Malawak at... Where did I have him? Yeah, maybe I should have done Trey Johnson at 6 instead of Malawak, just because it kind of messes up the board here a bit. But whatever, we're gonna have an auto sim from here, actually, because the Nets are gonna make a trade up here at some point shortly. So they go Derek Queen. Chicago goes Chase Richardson. Just the sad part is it's not even crazy. So Trey Johnson is falling very, very far. Colin Murray-Boyles goes. Noah Senglu goes. Trey Johnson is about to fall out of the lottery somehow. And all right, what are we doing? All right, pick number 16 is where we're going to stop it. Is Trey Johnson still on the board? Dude, Trey Johnson's still on the board. Chat, what are we doing? This is just, it doesn't make sense. Do I have to do the whole first round? I mean, I will. That just doesn't make sense. I got to go back. I'm sorry. I guess I'll do the whole first round. Screw it. I'll go back to 10 because, yeah, there's just no reason why that happened. So, all right, we're back to Chicago at 10. I thought I was just going to be doing Nets picks, but hey, whatever. Whatever works. At pick number 9, or no, this is 10 with Chicago. I'm going to go Trey Johnson. There's no reason that he should be here, so we're just going to give him off the board. Pick 11, yeah, Austin Noel makes a ton of sense there. Pick number 13, what is this, 12? 12. Dallas. Noah Senglu makes a ton of sense here. Lengthy wing, somebody that they can improve with. Jace Richardson here or Colin Murray-Boyles, either or. It's a perfect fit. I think they're going to go for a trade like KD or, somebody along those lines. They have Reed Shepherd, so I don't really need them getting a point guard. So, yeah, I'm going to have Colin Murray-Boyles go here. And then we're going to have Jace Richardson go here. Now, there's a lot of talks because, Jace Richardson makes sense here to Atlanta just because of the potential Trae Young trade that could be happening this offseason, and that team could very well be Orlando. But to me, with Orlando at 15, they need shooting. I think it's a little too early to go with a guy like Nick Clifford and Rasheer Fleming. Liam McNeely had a solid... You know what? Let's give him Liam McNeely. I'm not too high on him. I think he's going to fall. But we'll give them Liam McNeely. All right. So let's see. At 16, this is where the Nets' first trade will be. Right? This is a trade that I have been kind of projecting now for a little over 2 months, and it's a trade that I'm going to stick with. I think it's the deal that happens. At pick number 16, San Antonio ends up missing out on the Kevin Durant sweepstakes. And for me, that means they're going to look in the next best direction, which is a guy who fits their system very well in Cam Johnson. So what we're going to do is give up pick 26. Actually, no, I'm sorry. We're going to give up 27. So 27 and Cam Johnson for pick number 16. A lot of people are going to look at me and be like, oh, but Cam Johnson's worth potentially 2 first. No, he's not. To me, this is the type of draft class that you move up in. And if it costs you a first to attach to Cam Johnson, especially a late first, just do it. This class is loaded, but you don't need 5 players. So to me, moving off of one of your worst contracts and a pick that you may or may not be using right away this year, I think that's good value to move up to just outside the lottery. So, yeah, Cam Johnson and pick 27 to the Spurs for pick 16. And the reason why I say this is because I think that there is a very, very high likely chance that he's not on the board at this point in time, specifically just because of how much of a riser he has been. And that's Thomas Sorber. It may be a little high. I personally don't like him I don't like taking him this high, but centers are going to fly off the board, especially with the teams that are coming up next. So to me, Sorber at 16, you solidify the centerpiece. I like the pick. Again, I don't mind reaching for a guy when you're also 3 picks away, right? Because 3 picks away, you're in the range of potentially drafting best available in Igor if he's still there, which I don't think he will be. Rasheer Fleming is a possibility. Will Riley is a possibility. JT Toppin is a possibility. So for me, going out of your way to trade up and reach on a player who was previously in that ranking, right? Sorber was all the way up to a borderline lottery pick. With the injury, he's probably fallen off a bit, but the talent is still there and scouts still love him. So for me, I don't mind moving up and taking the risk because, like I said, you have Utah right here who could go center. You have Minnesota right here who is probably looking in the direction of like a Nick Clifford, Rasheer Fleming, a Liam McNeely, or a Thomas Sorber. I forgot who's up next after that, but we're going to just stick and pick here for Timberwolves. Again, this is just a Nets mock draft, so don't mind the picks that I'm making here. I'm trying to keep it as realistic as possible. For the Timberwolves, yeah, I would go Nick Clifford here. I think that makes a ton of sense. Igor is also a guy who's definitely rising up draft boards, but in this specific one, we're just going to kind of stick with the format of how we're doing it. Utah at 18. This is such a strange pick. No, they're the type to do it. I'm just going to give him Igor. They may want to run a Harper at the 2 and run Igor at the 1 or have 2 point guard options for future trade pieces. I don't know. So we're just going to have him go off the board. Brooklyn is up here at number 19. And again, perfect fit for the perfect system. I'm only picking players that I feel are the perfect fit for this team. Right? Jeremiah Fears, gritty on both end, high caliber scorer, has a ton of upside as a playmaker. Just fits what Brooklyn and Jordi Fernandez are trying to do. Thomas Sorber, a bit undersized at 6'10", but he has the defensive tangibles that Derek Queen doesn't have with the offensive tangibles that Derek Queen has. So to me, Sorber may have the higher upside than Queen does. And he's also a bit more athletic. And like I said, a much better defender. Kind of fits the system as a perfect Day'Ron Sharpe replacement if they decide to let him go. So for me, the pick here at number 19 is Rasheer Fleming. Without a doubt, 15 points, 8.5 rebounds, 53%. He shoots the 3 at an efficient rate, which is exactly what Brooklyn needs because Noah Clowney has not really shown much efficiency since coming back from injury. And I think this is a guy that can honestly help him out a bit. As a junior in college, you're kind of coming in as an NBA role player rather than a guy who's being developed, worked on, not much minutes. I think this is a guy that you can plug in right away. So for me, Rasheer Fleming not only benefits what the Nets are trying to do long-term, but also benefits Noah Clowney and his development for next season as well. So it's 6'9", a nice stretch 4 to have. And he's also very solid on both ends of the floor as a defender. So I absolutely love that pick there. For this one, let's see. They went Con Knuppel. He can play the 3. Yeah, I'll go Ben Seraph there. Why not? All right. Miami is here at 21. And this is where I could see a potential trade again. Right? As you can see, Miami doesn't have multiple picks after this. They just have the pick, the 9th pick, which is their lottery pick. And they also have that other pick, which was Golden State's. So to me, they could look to potentially add some more draft picks. And for me, that is moving pick number 26 and 35. Like I said, only going with 4 picks in this draft. And that's the case for most drafts. If they have to throw in a future protected first or multiple seconds, they will. But in this scenario, we're just going to do that. And with the 21st pick, I'm going to go Will Riley. And this is your Cam Johnson replacement, right? Pretty much what you've done with this draft. And we'll get into it as soon as it finishes. I'm going to try and have it sim, but I'll explain while we're kind of having it simulate. Yeah, we'll go auto sim from here. I'd absolutely love to have JT Toppin. If he isn't picked, if Rasheer Fleming's gone, and so is Colin Murray Boyles, I would 1,000% take JT Toppin. And I wouldn't even be mad about it. But the reason for these picks, right? I think in this year's draft class, and I kind of went over this yesterday or 2 days ago on our other podcast, the Nets this year in this draft, it's very, very weak in terms of wings. If you miss out on Flag, your next best is Ace. And Ace probably has the biggest boomer bust potential in this entire draft class, which scares me a bit. I was very high on Ace, but there's definitely a scenario where he does become a bust. And that's not something that I really want to take the risk on. unless if it's with the 4th overall pick, which we'll get to in our other scenario. But for me, the biggest important needs for the Nets this year are point guard and center. And give me 1 second here. All right, we're back. So the reason why I say point guard and center are the biggest needs is because, like I said, this draft class is very weak on wings. Outside, and I'm talking about like small forwards, power forwards. There's solid options: Colin Murray-Boyles, Rasheer Fleming, JT Toppin. They're solid pieces. But in terms of impactful wings that could potentially be stars, slim to none outside of Ace and Flag. So next year's draft class, Brooklyn owns their own pick. There's a scenario maybe where we get a first round pick in return in that Cam Johnson deal with San Antonio. Maybe we get Atlanta's first next year. We'll see. But to me, they have to add one more first round pick next year because you want your chances of drafting that superstar wing. Next year, you have AJ DeBonsta, you have Cam Boozer, Caleb Wilson, Caleb Gaskin, Noah Ament. There's about 5 or 6 wings in the top 10 that have star potential, specifically Noah Ament, Boozer, and DeBonsta, which are going to be top 4. And then, of course, you also have Darren Peterson. But to me, next year's wing class is so much better that you're in a position to actually make that pick, especially when you have younger players, right? A lot of people, a lot of Nets fans specifically have been saying, oh, well, if they won this many games this year, what makes you think they're going to be worse next year? It's a very simplistic answer. The younger you get, the more losses you're going to experience, right? These guys that are coming in aren't already, as you can see in this class specifically that we drafted in this scenario, 3 freshmen. And these 3 freshmen could probably play right away, right? Will Riley and Sorber off the bench, Fears as a starter. Fleming could potentially take the starting spot from Noah Clowney, if not coming off the bench as well. What that does is it puts you in a position to focus on development next year, right? You moved off of Cam Johnson, you got Will Riley. Okay, you're trying to mold him into being the next Trey Murphy or Cam Johnson. Those are the 2 comparisons that I see with him. It's like a mold of both, right? Slightly less athletic than Trey Murphy, not as efficient yet as Cam Johnson, but has the upside of both. So to me, that's what's great about the Will Riley pick at 21, especially since he's rising back up boards. He fell as far as maybe like 35 through 40 in the second round. But I have him shooting back up, especially with the way that he's performed in conference play and in the first March Madness game. So to me, that's your Cam Johnson replacement. Sorber is your Day'Ron Sharpe replacement, except he's much better offensively than both Claxton and Sharpe. Sharpe was starting to show signs of the 3, and I really don't mind re-signing him to have a 3 center rotation. Also knowing that I think Claxton should be the guy that's the odd man out. He's on the worst contract on the team. And he also has just not improved. It's his development is done. He is what he is. He belongs in a team that's not going to utilize him as a first, second, third, or fourth option scorer. His main talent is rim protecting, but he also needs a big man next to him who can space the floor. So, like for instance, he'd be a perfect fit next to an Evan Mobley. But to me, Sorber can be a guy that can either A, replace Sharpe, or B, be a developmental piece next season as a third big man until you move off of Claxton. So to me, that's just a perfect fit. I absolutely love the upside of Sorber as an offensive and defensive player. He definitely doesn't have the rim protecting of a Claxton, but he has the rebounding and scoring. And not to mention, he's also 6'10", 255. Like he does not have a small frame. He is already NBA weight, ready to go. So to me, the development on his side is through the roof. And I already explained Rasheer Fleming as well. I could see him being more of like a plug-in right away role player to help develop Noah Clowney and his shooting inefficiencies. But again, a guy that just fits the Jordi Fernandez system perfectly. Gritty on both ends of the floor, high caliber defender, incredible 3-and-D stretch 4. The upside for him as a role player in this league are very high. And then, of course, Jeremiah Fears. You get your guard that'll help facilitate games. He can score. And I think that's the biggest question mark with what the Nets have had this season is they haven't had a consistent point guard to A, develop, and B, close out games. And to me, that's Jeremiah Fears. His development is through the roof. And like I said, he's one of the 3 youngest players in this draft class. He actually reclassified in high school to be able to play in college this year. So realistically, he should be a high school senior, as well as Cooper Flagg. So if this was Brooklyn's draft class, like this is worst case scenario to me. If you miss out on one of the premier guys in Ace, Harper, or Flagg, you need to be aggressive with trade ups. And to me, this is the best scenario that you can have in terms of what your worst scenario could look like. And like I said, worst scenario just means you don't land that top 3 pick. But real quickly, if you guys want, while I set up the next one, feel free to let me know what you guys think of this draft class. I'm actually going to take a quick picture of it as well because I'm doing posts for the Instagram page here later. So if you guys aren't following that already, feel free to follow me there at NetsPress on Instagram. So yeah, got that. All right, let's restart it. We're going to try and do a mock now where we land the 4th overall pick. Hopefully either Toronto, Philly, Charlotte, one of those teams land 3, because to me, there is a scenario where, and again, I'm only going to do first round now because we're not using a second round pick. To me, there is a certain scenario where if specific teams land the 3rd overall pick, VJ goes before Ace. So I didn't even do the lottery sim. My fault. Let's go back. All right. By the way, watching this Kentucky-Illinois game at the same time, so don't mind me if I seem distracted, but I took Kentucky money line, so hopefully they pull off the upset, even though they're the higher ranked seed. I haven't really been able to pay attention too much to it. They were just down 8. They're down 6 now. So, but all right, let's do this sim. Let's see if we can get to the 4th pick or the 2nd pick, because those are the other 2 scenarios that I wanted to give you guys. I'm not doing scenarios with the number 1 pick. I just don't think it's going to happen. I'm not doing a scenario with the 3rd pick. Again, I just don't think it's going to happen. I think the NBA is either going to want to give us Harper, Ace, or Fears. I think those are just the picks that make the most sense. And I'll kind of break down to some of the players I feel could be. Oh, there we go, number 1. Yeah, we're gonna break down some picks as well, just in terms of fit within the 1st round specifically. While we wait for this to load eventually. Let's see. Can we get 4-2? Jesus. This was much easier last night doing this. Oh my god. Yeah, see, that's the other problem too. Brooklyn, as of right now, could fall all the way down to 9, I believe. All right, there's 4, so we'll do 4 right now. And Charlotte got 3, so that's perfect. All right, I'll do all teams again, just so this way I can make it quicker and more realistic. So with the 1st pick, of course, Flagg, even though I think that's actually one of the worst destinations for him with Toronto, because they have Scotty Barnes and Brandon Ingram. So to me, it doesn't make much sense. But hey, you don't pass up on that. So Flagg at 1, Harper at 2. I think these are just the unanimous picks at this point. Charlotte at 3. The reason why I go VJ over Ace is because they have Brandon Miller, and you got to keep LaMelo happy. So to me, putting a guy that's incredible defensively for his height and his position, with the upside offensively that he has and the athleticism that he brings, I think it's a perfect fit next to LaMelo and Miller. At pick number 4, this is where we are going to go Ace. And again, it's a scary pick for me because the boomer bust potential on him is through the roof. So you're either going to get a high caliber star, or you're going to get a guy who you're going to regret picking for a very long time. At pick number 5, all right, let's just speed run through these. So if you land the 4th pick, to me, you don't have to be as aggressive, but you still want to be aggressive. And there's a specific player that I'd want to put alongside Ace, who I feel would be a perfect fit Um, let's see. We're going to go Trey Johnson over Kaspers here, actually, because I do believe Trey Johnson is the better prospect still. Um, once again, I'm going Conkin-Apple. It'll just make sense for OKC. All right, Miami. We're going to go Jeremiah Fears. Again, I just think it makes more sense. He screams Miami or Brooklyn, so those are the two teams that I can see taking him. Yakachonis here. That makes sense. All right. So we're getting to the Chicago area, and it's tough because you're going to need a Vucevic replacement, but he's still on the team. Pat Williams, you're going to need a replacement at some point. They could use a guard because they don't know what's going on with Giddey. They could really go best available, and to me, yeah, they still got to go Derek Queen here. All right. I'm trying to get to the point where we're going to make our trade up. At 11, Austin Noel. And again, you're going to see different scenarios here too, because the picks between 11 and 16 are very interchangeable. Like, to me, Jace Richardson shouldn't be a top 13 pick. In my eyes, I personally don't believe he should be. But a lot of draft boards and a lot of experts are saying that he could potentially go top 10. So that's kind of why I'm putting him and plugging him into certain places like Houston, even though I think they would be a much better fit for a guy like Igor Demen. But and that's where we're going to actually take him here with Atlanta. Because again, if Houston decides to go with a Jace Richardson or an Igor rather than a Colin Murray Boyles, then that kind of puts you in the position to where you can make the move up. Once again, I'm going to go Liam McNeely here. And then with San Antonio, again, we're going to make the trade up. I use San Antonio very, very often. And the reason for it is because they have multiple picks. They just made a win now move for a De'Aaron Fox. Stephon Castle took a leap. It just makes sense for them to want to improve as a team. So to me, once again, pick 16 to Brooklyn for 27. You're going to see very similar trades in all of these just because there's not many trade partners that you can move up with. So it's going to be a little bit of rinse, wash, repeat. But Cam Johnson and pick 27 to the Spurs for pick 16. And with this pick, we are going to select the South Carolina power forward, Colin Murray Boyles. And the reason why I say this is because though he's undersized, he is probably the second best defender in this draft class next to Cooper Flagg, if not the third best defender next to Flagg and Kaman Malawak. So though a bit undersized and really can't space out the floor, he kind of just brings that defensive presence that you would need to stick alongside guys like Cam Thomas and Ace Bailey. So to me, even though he is small in terms of height, weight-wise, he can bully you down low. He's efficient from within the paint. So I like the fit there, especially if you can move off of Claxton for a more stretch 5. But at pick number 17, I'm going to go Rasheer Fleming here because we're not going to be using him, so I think he can go there. Utah at 18, they need a guard. We'll go Ben Seraph since they got Malawak. And again, there's going to be certain scenarios where I either trade up or I stay at the pick. Again, we are going to go Thomas Sorber here. It just makes sense. You kind of need... Actually, you know what? Maybe I will switch it up here for this one. At pick number 19. Let's see. We also have, 26 and 35? No, I feel like Sorber is just the guy. Like, I really do think that he's one of those guys that Brooklyn's been eyeing for a while. Plus OKC would have taken him at 20. So yeah, we'll go Sorber at 19 next to Boyles. We'll go Nick Clifford here at 21. So this is actually where I'm not going to make a trade up, right? They're here. They need to stick and pick. We're going to give them Will Riley. Brooklyn is at 26, and there is a player at 26 that I could see them taking. They could also just trade back their second-round pick with a team like OKC for future seconds. Indiana, they would probably go Danny Wolf here. I don't see them going point guard. They need a big man, especially with Miles Turner being a unrestricted free agent. They got Harper. We'll give them JT Toppin. That makes sense. This is a pick that I'm going to be selecting here at 26 that not many people may think of. only because draft experts have him high, but the common college basketball fan probably doesn't have him as high. And we're going to get to that pick right now. So that to me is Isaiah Evans, the Duke small forward freshman. He has one of the best 3-point shots in terms of mechanics and efficiency in this entire draft class. So to me, selecting him here makes a ton of sense. And again, we're not going to use the second round pick. We're going to auto simulate it from here, actually. But this is probably the second scenario that I could see if Brooklyn decides to go with. Actually, wait, hold on a second. Did I even select a point guard? That could have just messed it up, didn't it? Yeah, because we got Ace at 4. I got Boyles there. Oh, okay. I needed a point guard. I'm an idiot. We're going to go back and go point guard. Let's see. 26. Who did I have? Oh, I can't have them pass him up. This just makes too much sense. We're going to go Yaxel there. We're going to go Traore at 26. All right, and then we'll simulate it and recap it because, yeah, we almost messed that one up. But the reason for this is Brooklyn, like I said, is in need of a point guard and a center primarily. I think the wing could wait till next year, but if you're put in a position where you can draft Flag or Ace, you do it. So we're going to recap this one here. Oh, I did all teams, so that's why it's not showing. Okay. Can I filter in the team? I can't. All right. So Ace Bailey at 4. Trade up for Colin Murray Boyles with the same package with San Antonio that we did previously. At pick number 19, taking Thomas Sorber. And then at pick number 26, taking Nolan Traore. The reason why I'm intrigued by the Traore pick, he may not be there, and you may have to go Boogie Flan, which, again, I have no problem with. But the reason why I'm intrigued by the Traore pick is this is a guy who was previously projected top 5. He didn't really perform as well as many thought he would overseas this year, but I still think the upside is there, especially as a very valuable playmaker. The only problem that I have with this draft specifically is it lacks too much in both departments, right? Ace, not that great of a defender, has the upside to be, especially if he gets into the right system. I think Brooklyn could unlock that for him. But the offensive efficiencies there are an issue as well. Colin Murray Boyles, again, one-sided. If he's not playing down low in the paint, he's not going to be able to stretch out the floor efficiently, but he's also a very good defender. That could become an issue, though, playing next to a Nick Claxton or Day'Ron Sharpe, because both centers clog the paint. Same thing for Thomas Sorber as well. Playing alongside him could become an issue because they both clog the paint. But again, the upside of each player is very high. And if Ace does work out to where he does become a superstar, and say you strike big on, Sorber, Boyles, or Traore, then you could use those other two players in future trades. So to me, that's kind of where that avenue works best for them. Surprisingly, and you guys can let me know what you think, but me personally, I would prefer the 7th pick, where we did the trades up for Rasheer Fleming, for Thomas Sorber, and for Will Riley. I think that that's just a better fit in terms of what Jordi Fernandez's system is like. And it's also players that aren't that fit better together than what we just did with the 4th overall pick. You guys can let me know. But we are going to do one now where we get Dylan Harper at 2. So we're going to try and hopefully simulate this as quick as possible, because I do also want to get out of here and not take up too much time. So let's see. Yeah, because we still have to go over some of the best fits that I feel. Hopefully we can get 2 pretty quick. Let's see. Is it even working? Yeah, don't mind me. I'm using an HP computer. This thing is absolutely horrendous. My MacBook broke months ago. I wasn't able to get it fixed because the motherboard shattered. Let's see. How many attempts will it take to get to 2? Yeah, see, like, that would piss me off. If Philly and Miami get top 3 picks, like, that's horrible. Kentucky with a 10-point lead, 8 minutes left in the first half. Interesting. Oh, Jesus, we got 3. Come on, give us 2. I mean, we could be sitting here for a while. Because whenever I need to do something, it loves to mess with me and not give me it. But I can do like 5 of these at night by myself, and I'll get exactly what. All right, there we go. And I have to make the first 9 times out of 10 Philly takes Harper at 1 for some reason. So let's do this. And I mean, this would be like the ultimate slap in the face as well. Brooklyn lands number 2, but Philly lands number 1. That would hurt. So Philly gets flagged. Harper at number 2 to Brooklyn. And this is where I haven't done this scenario yet, but I actually do think there is a world where it works. And we're going to get to it once I can find it. So let's see. Ace at 4 to Utah. Very sad. Ace at 4 to Utah. Come on, computer. Washington at 5. We'll give them Yakachonis because I just think that's a player that they would want. At 6. I guess the scenario I wanted won't work. I wanted to get Malawak and do a trade up, but I don't see Charlotte or New Orleans passing up on them, and they're back-to-back picks. So let's see. We'll go here. Miami will go Fears. San Antonio. Okay. This is where I'm going to make the move. Again, this is a bit more unrealistic. But to me, if you're going to make the attempt at trying to build the best draft possible and be aggressive in the trade value market, you give up 19, you give up 27, and you give up a future first. Or I'm sorry, you know what? No, you give up 19 and 27 plus Cam Johnson and move all the way up. And picks, what is this? 19/27 for pick 9. And the reason for this is, like I said, if you're looking at being as aggressive as possible in this draft class, did I fuck this up? Because it still says the Spurs are here. God damn it. I forgot to give up 9. All right. So Brooklyn here, as you can see, I'm going to have them select Derek Queen. I think that this is an incredible fit, an Alperen Sengun-like player. And if there is a world where you can be this aggressive to get these picks, and these 2 specifically, I think that's a home run. We're going to go Asa Noel here. We're going to switch it up. And we're going to give Concanepple to the Blazers, which has also been something that's rumored. The only 2 teams I can see going Caneppel in the top 11 is Portland and OKC. Dallas at... Yeah, we're going to stick with them with Noah Sangwu. Right, and the problem is, though, is that this now makes it very difficult to make another move up, which is another reason why I'm kind of coming to terms with not doing trade-ups with this scenario. Like, to me, it's a bit too aggressive to where you don't have as many avenues to make certain picks, especially later in the draft. So we're going to go Jace Richardson here. But yeah, I don't know. I wanted to switch it up. I haven't really done a scenario yet where I do Harper and Queen in the same draft class, especially for the Nets. So we're kind of all doing this at the same time because, like I said, I haven't. At pick number 15, again, I'm going to go McNeely. I just think they're going to want one of the best 3-point shooters in the class, even though I think their pick should be a Rasheer Fleming or Nick Clifford. They now have a ton of picks, so they're going to go Boyles here. Minnesota at 17. We'll give them Nick Clifford. At 18, what, Utah? Yeah, they got Ace. We'll give them Saraf. And let's see, San Antonio again. We'll give them Will Riley. Oh my God. If they were able to get Rasheer Fleming, I think I'd actually throw up. All right, Miami, we'll give them... Is it crazy to say Lendeborg that early? I don't know. I personally think he should go much higher than what people have him at. We'll go Toppin. No, I'm not taking Sorber either, guys. Don't worry. I'm not gonna make it too unrealistic. Yeah, this is where we'll have Sorber go with Indiana. And then Washington's here at 23. We'll have them go Danny Wolf. Atlanta. Yeah, bigs are falling. Orlando got McNeely. We'll have them go Traore here. Yeah, in this scenario, you would have to keep that 35th pick because you need something else later on. Brooklyn at 26. You get Harper, you get Queen. I think this is kind of where you go in that Isaiah Evans avenue. Again, very good defensively. One of the best three-point shooters in the freshman class. So that to me makes sense. Now, Brooklyn in this scenario would have pick 35, and because I only did the first round, to me, you either go Carter Bryant, Dink Pate, or like Miles Bird. I think those are the only three picks that make the most sense. Maybe Addo Thiaro. That's even if he's there, which I doubt he would be. But yeah, so that's kind of the scenarios that I have for you guys. I'm going to real quickly reset the draft and kind of just go one by one of some of my favorite picks that I think fit Brooklyn best. I'm going to go in the order of how I feel Brooklyn would take them at every individual pick. Again, I'm going to keep it realistic to like the picks that they're potentially going to get. But yeah, Harper, aggressive trade up for Derek Queen, 2 first-round picks and Cam Johnson to move up. Again, I don't know if San Antonio takes that or not. I doubt it, but it's one thing that you could hope for. And then at 26, you go Isaiah Evans, and then again in the second round at 35, you either go Carter Bryant or Dink Pate. So those are the 3 scenarios that I've kind of built in that I would love to see Brooklyn make attempts to do. Again, if I had to pick one, I'm almost more on the side of just falling to 7, getting Fears, trading up for Fleming and Sorber, and then, or I'm sorry, trading up for Sorber, keeping at 19 for Fleming, and then trading up for Will Riley. I think that's probably the best scenario you could possibly build, and then it also puts you in a position to where you'll be top 5 next year, at least I think. But yeah, I don't know. It really depends on how people view this draft class. To me, I think that this is the deepest draft class we have ever seen. I mean, you got guys who have starting caliber upside in the mid-second round. Like there's a ton of prospects that you could take. So to me, the possibilities are endless. So let's see. All right, we're gonna pretend that Brooklyn has every pick right here because I'm just gonna make it easier. If the Nets had the first overall pick, of course you go Flag. I think that's just undoubtable at this point. He is the best player in this class unanimously, but he's also an incredible fit in Jordi Fernandez's system. I think the upside with him here would be through the roof. If Brooklyn was at 2, again, Dylan Harper. To me, he's Cade Cunningham 2.0. I don't see any other comparison that makes more sense. He plays exactly like him. At pick number 3, if Brooklyn had it, you got to go Ace. I just don't think VJ is the fit, especially if you land at 3. But if you do land at 4, I think your best pick would probably be, you probably have to go VJ because of how bad we are as an organization currently. If you miss out on those top 3 picks, you kind of just have to go the best upside. And to me, that's VJ. If the Nets had the 5th overall pick, I would actually take Jeremiah Fears over Malawak. And if the Nets had the 6th overall pick, I would have them go, come on, Malawak. Again, I just think the fit with Fears and the upside that he brings immediately is something that's more valuable than Malawak. Malawak, if he's developed properly and ever hits his ceiling, is probably the 2nd or 3rd best player in this draft class. But to me, taking a risk on a 7-2 center who has some conditioning issues and some perimeter defensive issues, I don't really know if I want to take the risk on it, especially in the top 5. So to me, I would go with him at 6. If the Nets had the 7th overall pick, I would probably go. It's tough. I'd probably go Kasparas Yakuchonis. I'm not like a huge fan of his, in all honesty. But at 15, 5, and 6 a night, there is definitely some upside there. At 8, I would go Derek Queen if I was the Nets. And if I was Brooklyn at pick 9, I would actually go with probably. That's tough. I mean, again, you're so bad, you kind of have to go with the upside, right? You would have to go Trey Johnson if you were the Nets at 9. At pick number 10, if I was the Nets, I would probably go Con Kneppel. And at 11, I would go Jace Richardson. At pick number 12, if I was the Nets, and I'm going to only do lottery for this. I'll kind of just go down the list of players that I like in the 20s that I would love to have. At pick number 12, if I was the Nets, I would probably take Asa Newell. The upside there is really high. At 13, I would probably take Igor Demon. And then at 14, I would take Boyles. So that would be like my 14 favorite picks for the Nets in order. But looking at some of the mid to late round guys, again, the guys that I'm keeping my eyes close on is Rasheer Fleming, Will Riley, Thomas Sorber, JT Toppin, Nolan Traore, Yaxel Lendeborg, Boogie Flan, Isaiah Evans, Addo Thiaro, Carter Bryant, Dink Pate. I think those are like the main guys that I'm viewing as the best Nets fits. You have guys who aren't listed on here as well, but if Brooklyn was to go for a guy like Miles Bird, I wouldn't be upset. I'm not a big fan of Alex Tui, simply because I already know why we're looking at him. It's just an Australian connection with him and Sean Marks. So to me, I personally just don't like the fit because of that. But there's a lot of people who have upside or high thoughts and high praise for Alex Tui. So we'll see. I also don't hate the idea of a Drake Powell. I think he has high upside as a top tier defender. The offensive portion of his game definitely needs work, but to me, these are probably the best fits. So in my eyes, if Brooklyn is able to land one of Carter Bryant, Dink Pate, or Addo Thiaro in the second round, I'm happy. With our latest first round pick, if you land Isaiah Evans or Boogie Flan or a Yaxel Lendeborg, I'm happy. With that other first round pick, if you land Nolan Traore, Noah Penda, I'm happy. With one of those earlier picks at 19, if you land Sorber, JT Toppin, Will Riley, Rasheer Fleming, I'm incredibly happy. And then again, you already saw my top 14 picks in order. So I'll show you them real quickly again. But yeah, if I was the Nets, these are pretty much just what I would pick if I was the Nets at each pick. So Flag at 1, Harper at 2, Ace at 3, VJ at 4, Fears at 5, Malawak at 6, Kasparis at 7, Derek Queen at 8, Trey Johnson at 9, Kneppel at 10, Jace Richardson at 11, Asa Newell at 12, Igor Demon at 13, and Colin Murray Boyles at 14. So, yeah, let me know what your thoughts are. I definitely think the best scenario was probably going with Jeremiah Fears in the 7th pick and being aggressive with the trade-ups. But let me know what you guys thought. I wanted to try and give this to you quickly, especially since some of the games are still on, so I'm going to get back to watching Kentucky versus Illinois. Hope you guys enjoyed. Make sure to sub if you are new around here, and I'll see you guys next time. Later.